Good afternoon, Galveston, City of Galveston, Galveston Independent School District. I'm Jerry Gibson. I have now been the superintendent of this school district for 4.5 days. I'm on my 5th day, and wanted to visit with Coach Bennight here because we got a lot of common interest. I coached for the beginning of my career. You coached the beginning of your career, and you just kept doing it.
Kept doing it. 26, 27 years now. So.
And you coached my son-in-law.
I did. Brandon was my center at Dickinson when I first got there. Couldn't ask for a better one. And I remember he had a little scare one time in the middle of spring ball. He got rolled up on his knee, and I panicked real quick, pulled him out, and it ended up being all for naught. But I wouldn't let him finish the spring. I said, that's it.
He's probably mad about that.
Yeah, he probably won't let me forget
As good of the player he was for you, he's a better son-in-law for me.
No doubt about that.
He is awesome. I know y'all been able to reconnect a little bit as well. But I just want to visit with Coach today about, I wasn't here yet. I'm in 4.5 days. You finished your first season as a head coach, kind of. So you got to coach with 2 arms behind your back or one? What do you think?
I lost count.
So
it was kind of a mind-numbing deal.
So I wasn't here, of course. I was in Marshall for the last 4.5 years, and take me back so I know. I've heard the rumors basically. So you were hired, and how many days until the pandemic?
My first day was on Monday in March before spring break. Then we went 5 days. Pandemic hit, and I didn't see the kids again until sometime in the summer. It's a blur now.
So you had 5 days with your team.
I would commute a little bit, during the middle of the week, take some days and commute down.
Sure.
But my first official day was, where I'm here 100% of the time, was about as long as you've been here, and then bam, pandemic. So
welcome to being a head coach.
Well, I'm telling you, I jumped right in the middle of it.
Well, you got to show the boys about dealing with adversity and how to overcome adversity.
Yes, sir. That we put our head down, didn't look back, and there for a while. We're so thankful that we were going to have been able to have a season. So we
didn't know for a while.
A lot of appreciation there too. So as a coach and as players, and they were just chomping at the bit. So it was. We felt very fortunate, especially starting off, and then it just kind of continued and snowballed a little bit. But everybody struggled and crawled through it, as a state, really, not just all of Texas high school football. And everybody's got their own stories, and it's and starting to get some success stories out of it too. So that's good to hear, after all that.
I think just getting to the finish line, Dr. Jamie Harrison and Dr. Charles Brydup, both UIL, we're from the same home area, the Golden Triangle near Beaumont, and I'll say this, I still talk to Jamie, pretty regularly, but I was just proud that they finished the season. They got to play those state championships. Yes,
that was a delight. I've been in that situation before, and just seeing what teams, got. I know the state basketball team tournament last year got cut off, and I know right down the road Dickinson was on the way down there. They actually got to San Antonio when they were informed. They had to turn around and come back. I know how disappointing that must have been, and the fact that we were able to finish the season, all the way, 100% all the way through was remarkable, But I tell you what we felt real blessed about was the kids did a good job of taking care of themselves during the season. We had one little hiccup from the freshmen on our end of it, but came up with a little system of keeping everybody separate, 3 teams separate 100% of the time, so that they didn't cross paths. And it actually worked. The freshmen had to quarantine for 2 weeks, but the JV and varsity got to play a full schedule. So the kids did a good job of being disciplined and taking care of themselves.
So I was able to come down. The board gave me the opportunity a couple days each week in January, and I took some days, sick days, personal days up in Marshall, which was great for me because I was able Monday to hit the ground running. But I met you one of those first days, probably about, I don't know, Thursday or Friday. I was signed my contract on a Wednesday night, and one thing that you told me, I want you to tell me about this, because I can only imagine. You don't think about these things. You really didn't have any idea who played where, did you?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I've been a guard my whole life, and Coach, I think I want to be a tailback this year. I can fool him. What does he know?
There was definitely some of that going on, because where we really, looking back, the thing that really hurt us was we didn't get a chance in the spring, all through the spring, as, for one, bringing a whole new staff because of the lack of availability. So we were 3 coaches short, and then we didn't have a chance to build relationships with the kids because we just didn't have that time.
Right.
And then when it came down to it, we finally figured out a way we're going to have the season and be able to reunite with the kids for something other than texting or Remind app and all that. Well, when all that happened, what we found out was not having that spring really hurt us. So we just said, what are we going to do? So let's find out what they played and just kind of feel our way through it.
Right.
Well, we didn't have pads on for a month or month and a half. Well, there's some sure enough warriors without pads on.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's
I'm a hero, yeah.
Hey, this kid looks pretty good. And we put in everything. We taught him everything. And come to find out, we're like, oh, some of these kids are out of position, And later on, I said, Coach, I played receiver my whole life, or I used to play this, and now I'm here. I'm like, well,
speak up.
You told me a fib earlier,
Right.
so
yeah.
we put you where we thought, and that's our fault. We should have had a better plan in place, but like you said, we just kind of fought our way through it and tried to figure out how to make it work. But that was not. Coach Adel is our defense coordinator, and he's a live wire. He's fired up every day. He's got a list of all these kids. I'm like, hey, okay, you went around and found everything. Well, I'm working the summer stuff and all these groups, and you got to leave a few for offense now. He was taking care of all that, but that's just kind of a funny story. He started laughing, but I said, that's literally what we had to do. So we made a list, and all right, here we go.
So not only are you implementing a new offensive system, a new defensive system, a new way to do things in general, you've also got to figure out who plays where, or then who you can count on. And I mean, that's so. I mean, like I got a little bit of a history with Coach Briles. Used to be at Baylor, and when he was at University of Houston, I was coaching in Little Cypress, Mauriceville. And I actually had an interview in the greater Houston area, but I went down for his football camp. It's his first spring. And I thought, wow, this is, I watched for 2.5 hours, and I went home exhausted. They never stopped, but I mean, they literally were coaching on the fly. The old some people don't know, he doesn't have a playbook. You probably knew that. Yeah, he don't have a playbook. So I'm like, well, so I wanted to know, and I would talk to Philip Montgomery, who was his quarterback coach and office coordinator. Now he's at Tulsa. And I was like, he said, we put the plays up on cards, here's the huddle, and boom, here we go. And I mean, they literally were coaching on the fly. So not only do you not know really general idea who looks like a lineman, who looks like a specialty guy, but you got to do that on the fly. Then you got to basically teach an offense on the fly. And you might could get your pilot's license today from doing so much on the fly, huh?
Yeah, it kind of feels like it. We, I don't think I've told you this, but when I was in college, Coach Briles, I went to Tarleton, which is in Stephenville, and Coach Briles was a high school coach there, and Philip and I, Monty, we graduated college together. So we're all jockeying with Coach Briles to try to be his student teacher, doing student teaching with him.
Absolutely.
Well, guess who got that?
Must
Monty.
Yeah.
Philip, since he's at, he was, but they had a pretty tight relationship, and, it just happens. And they went on from there. That's where I kind of learned that, some of that. I don't have a playbook either. I've got them written down. I've got them by name, and everything changes, and you just commit it to memory, and you finally realize that once you teach it, all those playbooks get dusty sitting on the side. So I was like, I'll make a list. So I learned that from him, which kind of actually helped us, and they wanted paper, and I said, no, we're not learning by paper. You're going to learn by doing and interactive, and, just all the teaching skills you learn from, it's the same thing, just in a different setting. But, I'm kind of glad I did that, because to watch those guys coach, it's incredible. And unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to do things that way, but, that's the model that we're going to try to emulate, when when things get back to normal. So
Boy, we're all ready for that. And notice, those that are watching, we are apart. We wore our mask in here where we were talking about what we wanted to do, but we're it's our second meeting today. So
Right.
if we're in trouble, or we're going down together or going to the top together, one of the
That's
two.
it.
So what else have you, your first year coaching? I mean, what have you, good night, I won't even say first year coaching. First year as a head coach, which, you probably waited for that year or that first year for 15, 20 years to get that, to be the man.
well, you want to be the man. That's what you get. So
Be careful what you pray for.
careful what you pray for. It's not just wanting to be a head coach anywhere. I was fortunate that this came open, and actually I thought it was going to open a year prior, and I applied and it didn't happen, and then when it did again, I jumped on it as soon as I saw it, because I coached against Galveston and Galveston ball, and I've seen the kind of kids that are down here, so I know that it's what I said in my interview. It's a gold mine. We just got to dig and find that gold again. So, and then we're going to get it right. It's just a matter of time and changing like I talk about to the kids right now in athletics and all the time. We try to relate things to life, and
Exactly.
it's changing your mindset, your outlook, and how you see things. Understanding why we're doing this is, you take these habits we're going to learn in the weight room and learn on the field and apply them in the classroom and apply them in the life outside. So that's our main focus right now, and I, take the opportunity right now. I'll let anybody know, if you're willing to, if you want to be a part of something special, just come on out and, come talk to me, Coach Bennight. I'm always around. I'm not in the same spot very long, but I'm always around. Somebody can find me. But
I got your cell phone number. I can track you down.
That's it.
So when Dennis, going back, I did come from Marshall, but I also went to college at Marshall. And when I was going to college, one of the times up there, Dennis Parker was there, who's he's been a successful high school coach, collegiate coach. He's written a study guide, Coaching to Change Lives, a character thing. And I remember when I went, I like you were with Coach Briles, I just wanted to be on his, I wanted underneath. He's like, who is this guy? And one thing I asked him, I said, when you got the Marshall job, and this was probably 2 years before he won state there. He played Aldine in about 90, I think,
89.
and won state championship. And so I asked him, I said, when you got the job, I said, I just wanted to know, I wanted to learn from it. So what's the very first thing you did? That's what he told me. He said, I had to recruit. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This is a high school. I know you were in Oklahoma at a school one time, at a college. I said, he goes, we had to go recruit the halls.
Recruit
our own kids and get those out there. So the other day, you'll learn this about me if you're watching. I love being where the kids are. I mean, I've got an office, and I know there's a lot of administrative things that I have to do, but man, I'm on a campus almost every day. From elementary to the early childhood center to the high school, the junior highs, wherever. And so the other day, this young man was walking up, and I was asking him his name, Jamarcus. And Jamarcus is a sophomore, so I took a picture of him, and I sent to Coach Bennight. I said, this is Jamarcus, and I told his last name. He's a sophomore. He wants to play football, and come find him. And so, but you just immediately said, he's come find me. Let's get him out for football. So
I went and looked him up. He was actually absent today. The other day when I went by. Yeah. So,
what else could happen your first year, right?
I got his schedule down, so that's next on my docket. But
little nose guard looked like.
Yeah, you'll laugh about this. I knew Coach Parker's from Marshall and his history, and being at Marshall at one point myself, and without even knowing this, you said that on that first week on the job, the first thing I did was recruit the cafeteria during lunches, and
find him.
That's he probably had it in the book that everybody knew. As soon as you go in, I've been a part of new systems coming in, and every time it's let's go, recruit those halls and recruit to get our own kids out, because that's what needs to happen.
So the COVID vaccine is out there. Of course, school districts and things. When I was in Marshall and some district down the road, we got the vaccine. Well, I called them because I said, that'd be great. Sign up 900 and be here, and whatever. And you find out, well, it's 10 this week and 25. And anyway, it wasn't quite like that. But let's just say our world all of a sudden got normal again. What's going to look like in the spring?
Well, first off, in this spring, we're going to live in the weight room for a while. And then after spring break, we're going to start going outside and working on some footwork drills, et cetera, and, our quickness. And we're going to work on our physical attributes first. And then we're going to start implementing our offense the way we want to implement it. We're going to on the board, on video, and then, on the field. So the process that we're going to go through is we're going to begin that and emulate that in the fall. So what you see in the spring as a player, we're going to see in the fall the same process. So matter of fact, we're talking about that today. So after, that leads up to spring ball, and then when spring ball hits, and the whole time we're going to adjust the way we lift, and we're going to maximize our time that we're given, and we're going to lift every day. And it's the kids know, the kids that are in there now understand that they've got to commit, and whether they're in other sports or anything else, that commitment's going to help them be successful no matter what they're doing. So that's the lessons we're trying to teach right now. And once they understand that, once they get in those habits, it's easy. The X's and O part's always easy. It's just changing your mindset and changing your so that's what we're in the process of doing now. Then we get in the springtime, as far as spring ball is concerned, it's going to be certain days a week, just depending on how the schedule's a little different right now, than normal. But we'll have spring ball, and probably my plan is practice 3 days a week, and on the fourth day we'll have an inter-squad scrimmage. So it's going to be a lot of time. And what we do, the main focus of spring ball is, you're going to implement everything, but we're going to find out who can play, find out who can run, who can hit, who can catch, who can tackle, and put them in those positions that we talked about. That's what coaches are looking for in the spring, and then we do a lot more teaching stuff in the summertime when you've got 30 minutes a day of just strictly teaching. And, I want to find out who can play and who's got what type of mentality, and, especially anybody that wants to come out new, that's their opportunity to.
So I was going to say, so today's the 5th, today's February the 5th. What's the calendar like for spring ball?
Just earlier this week, we just found out we're able to have spring through the UIL, so we haven't gotten that far along. So we're going to try to schedule it along. We got a couple of baseball players. That's the ones that miss the most time, because our period right now coincides with baseball, and it's away from campus. So we'll kind of coincide that with the baseball season, and
maybe sometime in May then, huh?
Well, it's generally speaking, it's late April when you start. You got 18 practices, so that's depending on the end of school, and you kind of work backwards from there and see where we can go. And you give yourself a few days for, weather days, if you have to, change days around, et cetera. So, we haven't gotten completely scheduled yet, but that's generally late April is when we start.
So Jamarcus, it would be good for him and his 45 friends. They need to come now and get their schedule.
They do. They need to come see me now, so they can. We lift before school and after school every day, and we have opportunities for everybody to get that lifting in, and and that they've got to build up their bodies from what they are now to withstand the season.
Exactly.
And that's something we sorely need. And but it also gets those kids, if you want to come out, then it gives you a chance to see what we're about, get adjusted to our our process, our methods, and how we're going to do things. And it just gives you opportunities to be involved with the kids, and realize it's a special deal to be a part of a team like that. Not everybody understands that until you're in it.
Right.
And then you'll never forget. Something you'll never forget for the rest of your life. And
everybody's forever. Exactly. Yeah, we still talk about our Friday nights. Mine would have been the late 70s, early 80s. But anyway, so we've talked. We know a lot of the same people, and I think one of the disadvantages, not just for you, but say for the school district, as well as our community, we know there's an unbelievable tradition of excellence, and there's a lot of players that have played at ball. Mike Evans in first. We're celebrating Mike for the last 2 weeks. So you and I have had conversations, and just today, Art Browse has influenced you a little bit. Dennis Parker, possibly some. We talked about Rodney Southern. So Rodney Southern was the head coach in Marshall many years ago. That's where I came from. And then a school board member there, Ted Huffine, you coached with him, coached him. And I know when I got hired or I was being interviewed, I was digging a little bit. And I read those, your press conference or interview, and you talked about, the gold mine, which I loved. I think it's very, very true. And you mentioned Coach Trahan. Did I say that one right? Trahan. Helped, probably made a few phone calls to get you, a seat at the table. And then Coach K. So there's 5. Who else has influenced you in the way you do things?
Well, I'll tell you, you couldn't have convinced me when I first started, but Jack Welch is a longtime coach, coached in college a little bit, and then at Copper's Cove for a long time, high school, and then now he's back in the college ranks again. But the things he made us do, I understand as a veteran coach now, why he was making us do some of the things we were doing and grinding on us so hard and making us, luckily I don't know that I would have enjoyed it too much if I'd started elsewhere, but I started there, so I didn't know any different.
Right.
However you do it, this is how we do it, let's go, and looking back, I'm like, good Lord, what is some of the stuff that we had to do? What is he doing to us, making us speak in front of people and get up and regurgitate and, and then just the physical work that we did and grinding and teaching us how to coach kids and how to get the best out of them and, not lose them. And, just so many things he taught me, or taught a lot of young guys that we had are still great friends of mine, but, we all learned from him. He's a big one, my first one. And then, I worked with, we mentioned Rodney, worked with him and then for him at Marshall. Daryl Warden's another one that's retired now, but he was at Clear Creek. He was a good man, a good guy I didn't really know how he would be, but he's one of the best coaches I've worked with. It was just for a year before I was able to go be a coordinator at Dickinson. But then, of course, Coach Strahan's really kind of my biggest one, as I've gotten older, you understand what to learn and what to ask, and he's really helped me out a ton. Matter of fact, I talked to him yesterday on the ride home.
So, like I said, the hard thing is community still, because of the pandemic, they're still learning you. I wanted people to hear that, and I learned today that your wife is an assistant principal in Deer Park. You have a 4-year-old son.
4-year-old son.
So the people of Galveston are still really getting to know you. What else do they want to know, need to know, or would they want to know, or would you want them to know about Coach Bennight? Because that's what I've seen is what you see is what you get.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. What you really need to know is I'm all about your kids, and I want what's best for them. Their success is our success. I'm past the, I've been at North Shore, so I won the state championships, and it was the funny part about that. I'll tell this short story. I get home from a state championship, and the first one was in 2015 at NRG Stadium, and so, yeah, everybody's excited. You ride home, and I get to the house, and I look at my wife, and we're sitting on the couch, and we didn't have my son at that point, and we just started laughing like, what do we do now?
Now what?
Now what? So, but I've been a part of that 3 times, so you realize it's not just about the winning, it's about the journey and about the things that you can do for these kids. And so when you really, as you get older, you learn those things. And once parents realize I'm there to help your child, and it's not always pleasant. I'm not gonna. told the kids I'm never gonna lie to you. I never lie to the parents. I never lie to the kids. You may not like what I have to say, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest because that's the only way I know to do things. And it's also the best way because you're gonna get cut to the chase quicker, and you're gonna, once everybody gets over their feelings being hurt or whatever it is, then mine or yours, either way, we're gonna come out better on the other side, and we're gonna grow. So it's all about growth and teaching the kids, how to be better people. And I said this too. I want your kids to be better when you leave than when they entered, and that's my goal. We preach this all the time. We're focused on today, being better today, and that's it. We're not worried about tomorrow or anything else. And if we can be better each day and stack those days up, pretty soon you've got a skyscraper. And that's kind of the way I presented it to them. They seem to understand it, so we're getting better every day.
So you got 3 rings. You played for, in March, you played for 1 more or 2?
No, I got 3 rings, and then at Marshall we got a medal, runner-up medal. We don't bring that one out very often.
No, we don't need to. That's right. That's right.
No, it's kind of that was a close one to lose. We won a close one in the state championship 3 times, and then lost one, and that one's, you never forget those either.
No, I played for one as a coach and lost it, so I agree.
Yeah.
We in that other sport, which I learned to love, was soccer. I was an administrator in one, so I got a little. That's not the same when you're in the stand. Well, actually, I was doing sideline, but you know, wasn't quite the same. So teach. Okay, let's see how good of a coach you are as we're getting ready to wrap this up. So in Marshall, we were the Mavericks, and even though a Maverick isn't a Longhorn, you know, we did that. So you need to coach me because I don't know. What do we do during the school? Do we do tornado? I mean, what? You coach me
here?
We were in ball. I am a Galveston person. What do we have, Coach?
The way I'm looking at you, I don't even know yet because of COVID. I mean, I hate to admit that. I really do. It was such a whirlwind, and it's just the band was not even near. You know, and it was a partial band. And the way we had them seated in the end zones, and it was that part of it. It just didn't feel like a home game. You know, not like it's going to next year. I'll assure you, we're going to get it back to, you know, normal. And that's some of the things I want to find out from everybody. So, some of the traditions and things from ball that I just hadn't had a chance to learn.
We'll learn together, won't we?
I don't feel like I got here until August 26th or whenever school started. That's about what it felt like, and I'm still learning on the run how things are working. So I apologize for that being the answer.
Well, that's good because if you see Coach Bennight, you see Jerry Gibson in the halls or at Walmart, if you're watching this, however you're watching, wherever you're, don't just feel like you can show us that because we both certainly wanting to learn it. So. You know, I learned a little bit about being superintendent from Bonnie Kane, who was in Pearland for 13 years, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. She worked there for 19. She was the superintendent for 13. She went to Waco. She hired me, and I was the only person I worked for. So what I do, I learned from her. It's the only thing I really know. And I watched her because on Friday nights, we had a big press box in Waco, and before the game, she'd go up there and say hi to the board, and that's where they watch the game. And then she goes downstairs, and she was just in Waco. They don't have a track, so it's just she was up and down, watching the ball and stopping, telling the kids how to blow the blow up. I mean, she's gonna be in charge and everything else. But every Friday, she would summons me to her office, which was I was one floor below her, and she'd say, just in case tonight, if the coach turns around and asks me, what play should I tell him to run? She goes, sweep right. Is that a good one? Sweep right. I said, Dr. Kane, just sweep right. That's fine. That's fine. So I want you to know, that's what I do. I just walk up and down and stay back, stay on the track, whatever. But, you know, high five the kids. If I get a chance, talk to the cheerleaders, the drill teams, they come down, or whoever's carrying Tuffy around, you know, whatever it is. So you need to know, if you get in a bind, just turn around. Jerry, what do I call? I'll give you something, okay? It could be wrong. I'm going to give you something. So
hey, we've always got Coach Morgan in the box. We can blame it on him.
Exactly. If it don't work, it was his fault. Yeah. But man, I appreciate you. You know, like I said, no one really knows me, and they've seen you. They're learning you, and I think I wanted to visit with you and let people see it because it's a great chance, I think, to recruit the kids and get them out.
Right, yeah.
And for the people that see this to get to know who you are.
And I want to tell everybody out there that, you know, we're going to take care of your kids.
I believe that.
We're going to take care of them.
I've got to spend, you know, we're laying out plans already for next year and for later in the spring, and I've been able to meet with you and Coach Fortune a couple different times, and 2 leaders in our athletic department. You know, I've visited extensively with Coach Farrell a couple of times, Coach Temple, and our kids are going to be taken care of all across the board. And so
no doubt.
They're going to be loved. They're going to be loved hard sometimes, and you know, but they're going to become men. So. I appreciate you letting me just visit with you a little bit today.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this a lot.
It's not like mine, but and you know, they just let us do this. Turn the camera on, we start talking ball.
Put it that way.
Yeah, it's good, and it's going to be good, and I can't wait to celebrate a lot of years of success here. I'm excited for it.
I'm excited too.
So, thank y'all for joining us.
Thank you.